Hello everyone, I'm Nini FC and this is Blue Lines TV, and today I'm bringing you guys another transfer news video. And in this video today, I'm going to be talking about Anthony Martial, I'm going to be talking about Mason Mount, and I'm going to be talking about Charlie MUSONDA. But before I get into the video, you guys know what the deal is. Hit that bell notification button so you're staying tuned to all things Blue Lines TV, and smash that like button. Help me get more than 500 likes for today's video. But starting with the first story of today, and that's in regards to Anthony Martial. Now, this report is coming from Matt Law, and he's stating that Chelsea are considering making a move for Martial in the summer, and this is all going to depend on the fact if Martial rejects signing a new contract at Manchester United and if he decides to move on. Now, there's other clubs interested in this potential signature. That's Tottenham and that's Juventus, and reports are coming out that Juventus would be happy to spend up to £44 million to try and sign Anthony Martial. When it comes to Martial, the guy is very young. His wages too are pretty low for a guy of his calibre. He's on £65,000 a week, so if we were to sign him, he would fall easily within our wage structure and our wage budget as well. And of course, with Anthony Martial, his contract does expire in 2019 with a further extension possible, so reports are coming out that United really wouldn't be selling him for too cheap. So potentially, if he's available for 44 million, I personally feel that would be a bargain with someone of his calibre. Matt Law reports that Chelsea and United do have a very good working relationship, especially after the sale of Nemanja Matic last summer to Manchester United. And you guys, this is the part where I give my thoughts and opinions. Now, some of you guys have heard this already, but I feel with Anthony Martial, we know he's a guy that can play all across the front three. I feel that it makes a lot of sense to sign this guy. Now, we know that Mourinho does like Willian. I honestly feel it makes sense to do a swap deal plus cash move for Willian. We've seen United do something similar with Mkhitaryan, and then with them signing Alexis Sanchez on top, so they're open to that type of transfer. Now with Willian, you guys, you know I like him. I think he's a great player, especially playing in his natural position, as we have been seeing throughout 2018. But again, let's move away the sentiment. Let's just think from a purely logical and club point of view. Now, he is going to be turning 30. The club haven't given him a new contract just yet. And I think that's a massive telling sign, in my personal opinion. We know that Mourinho loves Willian. He would like to bring him to Manchester United. Willian himself stated that Mourinho was speaking to him throughout the summer to try and persuade him to join him at Manchester United. But Willian wanted to stay in London. I personally feel that, as I'm saying, let's just leave the sentiment on the side. Even though he's been a very good player and he's been very good for us the second half of the season in particular, I feel that if he could potentially be the guy that can help us sign Martial and help us beat in other clubs of the competition to sign him, I feel that Willian's got to take one for the team, and it makes more sense for us. I think some of the stats already, Martial is nearly 7 to 8 years younger than Willian, and his scoring stats are nearly identical to him already. This is a guy that has a massive future, a high ceiling, and potentially I feel that he's going to really be beneficial for us for the coming years. I feel that we can't let other clubs beat us the signature of Martial. I honestly feel this guy has the potential to be whatever he wants, and it brings up some interesting discussion points. We know that he can play all across the front three. His best position is on the left-hand side. I personally feel that potentially we could even use him as a striker, and that's something I would like to see. I feel with Chelsea, we've kind of stuck to this model of going for, tall, physical target men as strikers. I feel that if we were to use Martial, it would be like us having a Gabriel Jesus or an Aguero. That type of striker that likes to run in the channels, that likes to beat a man, and can finish inside the box and outside the box as well, and be a completely different style of player that we normally have up front. And I think that, with all this talks of wanting a new direction for next season and wanting new things, Martial could be the start of something like that. And again, for someone his age, French international, is calibre as well. For a price, 44 million, if that's what's allegedly being offered. And we can possibly have that even cheaper if we just offer Willian, a guy that, even though he's been great for us, he is getting older. He potentially will be in decline, and we haven't signed him, and we haven't given this guy a new contract as well. I feel that it makes a lot of sense to try and pursue the deal for Anthony Martial. But in the comment section below, you guys, let me know what you're thinking. Now, there is another interesting point as well, and this is going to link in with tomorrow's video before I leave on my flight to Malaysia, and that's going to be Martial could potentially be a replacement for Eden Hazard. Now, I'm going to give you guys a bit of a spoiler for tomorrow's video. Either one of our two Belgian players will probably or most possibly be leaving next season. Now with Martial, the club don't know 100% yet if it's going to be Hazard or Courtois who is going to be leaving for next season. But again, with clubs of this stature, you have to plan for any worst come situation, and maybe Martial could be the ideal replacement for Eden Hazard. I mean, if Hazard did leave in the summer, who would really be able to replace him on the left hand side? No one. Martial could fit the bill, and honestly, you guys, I feel that this is the type of player that we need to bring into the club for next season. Now, the next story for today's video is in regards to Mason Mount, and it's coming out that Werder Bremen and Ajax are interested in bringing him in for next season. But with Werder Bremen and Ajax, they're looking at potentially making it a permanent deal instead of it being a loan move. Now, with Mason Mount, this guy has a ton of clubs interested in him. PSV, Sporting Lisbon or other clubs. There's a host of championship clubs that would be happy to have him on loan for the season. Of course they would. But so far it's been Werder Bremen that's been leading the race in a way to try and bring this guy in for next season. Now, with Werder Bremen, their season hasn't been as amazing. They're going to be losing Janazovic, the Austrian midfield player, is one of their most key creative forces in midfield, and they feel that Mason Mount could be that guy. Now, we have had a previous working relationship with Werder Bremen, of course, with De Bruyne moving there on loan as well, so potentially it could be something. Werder Bremen, you know, they do like to look to the Premier League for a lot of loan moves as well. They've had some good success from doing something like that, and Mason Mount ideally playing in the Bundesliga at a high level, where he's going to have that responsibility to really show what he's about, playing in his natural position, in a number 10 position. I feel it could make a lot of sense. But this is where it comes to the point that, you know, they're talking about Mason Mount potentially going there in a permanent move. Now, what do you guys in the comment section think? Would you be happy to see Mason Mount signing permanently for Ajax or for Werder Bremen? Now, let's try and see things outside the box a bit. In my opinion, I don't necessarily think it would be a bad thing to sell him permanently. Now, before anyone gets crazy, think about it like this. I'm going to actually be releasing a video later on discussing why I feel we need to start using buyback fees anytime we sell players. With loans, it's not very successful. I think the club know that themselves. I'm going to be talking about MUSONDA later on to end this video. I feel that if you sell Mason Mount for a fairly good price, where he's going to be guaranteed to play, obviously, you know, in a very good division where they focus on a lot of youth, have that responsibility of playing in his key position as well. He develops there for 2 years, where, you know, there's a bias against players that are on loan. I feel that then Chelsea could exercise their right to potentially sign him in 2 years' time, and I feel that this is what we need to do with a lot of the guys out in the loan army for them to really have a fair chance of doing things well. Championship clubs miss me with that. I don't want to see Mason Mount moving to the Championship. I really can't see how any players really benefit from a loan move to the Championship. I mean, the level of football is completely different. Most times it's about physicality, a lack of tactical planning as well. Some of the players you're playing with in particular aren't good enough, and I don't think a guy of Mason Mount's stature and abilities would really complement a lot of Championship teams, and I think it's just too risky. It really doesn't work. Look at Harry Kane. I know it's a bit of a side note, but he didn't really do anything on loan, and he was in the Championship for 3 to 4 years. It wasn't until he was playing with a better caliber of player in his natural position that he was really able to show what he's about, and now he's one of the best strikers in the world. Mason Mount doesn't need any loan moves anywhere like that. The reality is, most of these clubs would prefer to sign him permanently. It's not very likely that Ajax, why would they want to bring someone in on loan that they don't own, when they can just graduate one of their youth prospects? Werder Bremen as well, they could do the same thing. Sporting Lisbon. I don't think it's fair on these guys to just send them onto, you know, really poor loan clubs where they don't really have a fair shot to really show what they're about. Let's start exercising our use of buyback clauses, because the reality is not all these guys will be coming back. Let's give them the best, most fairest opportunity to show what they're about, and then we can assess these guys in the next 2 years. And to end with the final story, and that's in regards to Charly MUSONDA. Now, Mark Law is also reporting that Chelsea are livid with Brendan Rodgers in particular for, again, going against this word and not using the players that we've loaned to him. He's done this with Josh McEachran, and when Josh McEachran was asked during that time what he learned on loan at Swansea, he said absolutely nothing. Done the same thing with Victor Moses. Yeah, He was injured at the time. When he came back from injury, didn't use him whatsoever. With Charly MUSONDA, this guy sold this guy dreams. You know, they're paying 45k a week, a 6 million euro bid to actually bring him on loan there as well. And then it's just like it's getting to that point where he's not using him. Now, of course, MUSONDA has had a bit of, I wouldn't say controversy, I think that's a strong word, but of course with the social media. Now, my personal opinion, I do feel that maybe be looking to his use of social media a bit too much. I don't think it's as deep, to be honest. Now, again, a lot of people are thinking, what's MUSONDA doing? You know, he's been deleting every photo of him in a Celtic shirt. I mean, there's numerous possibilities. I don't have the full answers, but again, I'm just here to help us think of different things instead of always automatically thinking of the most negative thing. Now, with Charly MUSONDA, one report I read somewhere was the fact that, of course, he's sponsored by Nike, and every photo he is in a Celtic shirt, he's in an Umbro kit, and because of his sponsorship, it doesn't really go. Now, it's a simple mistake for any player to make something like that. He didn't delete every single photo of him in a Celtic shirt, just most of them. And really, I think that's the most believable theory as to what's happened at this moment in time. But again, with MUSONDA, he's someone I do really sympathize with a lot. One thing we have to realize and stress, and I have to stress, is the fact that he's an extremely hard worker. If you ever read any reports of him being lazy, literally ignore that. The guy is serious about his career, his diet, his training. He takes it seriously. He does overtime as well. He's got that confidence and faith in his abilities. But again, at Celtic right now, past 10 games, only playing 4 minutes. It's getting to that point now. I think this is what really affects most of our loan players, is that they just pick the wrong teams to go to. And this is why loan moves are so risky in the first place. Now, the perspective from which I'm seeing things is that, well, Brendan Rodgers is thinking, I'm about to win the league. The guys that I've been working with throughout this season, they deserve to be playing ahead of MUSONDA, regardless of qualities, because again, they're the reason why we're going to be winning this league. The guy is on an 18-month loan move. There's no rush to play him just yet. He's going to be here for next season. I'm going to use these guys that have been helping me, you know, obviously get the club in this position where they're obviously winning the league. That's the perspective in which I'm seeing things. The reason why I say this is that Brendan Rodgers has had a history of maybe being a bit out there in terms of his squad management, in terms of the things he says. Now, we all know that, you know, cringy documentary that Liverpool did on Channel 5 a few seasons ago. And I think Rodgers did that Sir Alex Ferguson thing of, you know, having an envelope with 3 players' names in and then telling the squad, oh, there's 3 of you guys who I know are going to let me down. Make sure your names aren't going to be there. I know it's just motivational stuff, whatever, but I kind of feel maybe, even though I do like Rodgers, I like, you know, the football he plays and what he's done for himself as well, I kind of feel that maybe he's in love with his own hype a bit too much, and he's just focusing too much on being a maverick unnecessarily. I don't understand why Celtic, you know, the money they're paying for MUSONDA could have bought them a player. It's a lot of money for a team like Celtic to just have some ridiculously archaic rules in terms of, you know, focusing on using him for next season. That's not flying by my boat. Sympathise with MUSONDA. I honestly feel next season, as I'm going to be talking about, this is a guy that needs to be sold with a insert, a buyback fee, because otherwise you only get a handful of clubs interested in you. If he's available in the market, expect his career to kick off once that move goes through. But anyway, you guys, that's going to end today's transfer news video. Please like, comment and subscribe. 500 likes for this video. Press the bell notification button to stay tuned to all things Blue Lions TV. I'm the EFC. This is Blue Lions TV. Signing out.